Hey folks, Eric Bray, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, January the 29th, in the middle of the Arctic vortex that they've been talking about on the news. It's about 18, 19 degrees outside. We got about a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind, supposed to kick up to about 20 to 25 this afternoon. And we're looking at deadly wind chills is what they're saying. So if you're watching this on Tuesday, don't go stand outside naked, you'll die. Managed to get on the water a few times this past week. Bites definitely changing. Things have changed up. A lot of it has to do with the amount of current that they're running. That's really affected some of the bites, but it's not great, but it's not bad. We're still catching some fish. As far as our lake level is concerned, we're at 915.7 this morning, which puts us just a little bit high, less than a foot high. But it does have the lake running water. Beaver's a little bit high, Table Rock's a little bit high, Bull Shoals is a little bit high, so they are generating current throughout the entire system. So we do have quite a bit of current running all day long. For the most part, it has been up to 4 units on Table Rock. For the last couple of days, they have dropped it back down to 2 units. So that does slow the current down a little bit, and it does kind of affect the fishing a little bit as well. As far as our water temperature, I was kind of surprised. It kind of came up a little bit, at least on the lower end in the Kimberling City area. We were seeing 46 to 47, even 48 degrees in some places. For the most part, we're right around 46, like 45.7, 45.8. Hasn't cooled off as much as I thought it would. I don't know that this Arctic blast is going to mean anything as far as lowering the water temperature. It might for a couple of days, but they're calling for 50s and 60s this weekend. And then next week's supposed to be warm as well. And hopefully this is our last blast of winter. But I think our water temperature is pretty much where it's going to be as far as getting cold, which means we won't get a big shad kill unless we get a stretch of really cold weather through February. Because right now, we're not seeing a shad kill. There's no shad kill going on. You'll see a few limp shad. I did talk to some guys that were up the James that saw some dying shad, but there's really not a massive shad kill going on. We're not, this will be the second year in a row where we don't have a really big shad kill, which is good for the population because it does give them a lot of food, but it makes the fishing a little bit tougher. But anyway, if you guys are coming down, you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, fish there on Sunday. I'm not gonna lie, guys, it was tough on the lower end. We didn't have any wind. It was a beautiful day, sunny, got up to 70 degrees, but we didn't have a breath of wind, so it made it a little bit tougher. As far as our deep bite is concerned, the amount of current they're running has really affected the deep bite. We had, 2-3 weeks ago, I was talking about the best deep bite I'd seen in years. It's really slowed down with all this current, and what causes that, the shad gets strung out, and it spreads the fish out. And the shad, if they don't have the shad all balled up where they can feed on them regularly, they tend to be scattered. And the shad will scatter, the fish will scatter, it makes the bite tougher. You can catch a few deep, both on the Rapala ice jig and the Jewel scuba spoon, but you got to work for them. It's not like it was 2, 3, 4 weeks ago where it was silly. We were catching them like crazy everywhere we went. You got to hunt for them, you got to find the shad, and when you find the shad, you can catch some fish deep. But the deep bite's not nearly as strong as it was, say, 2 or 3 or even 4 weeks ago. Stick bait bite, on the other hand, has gotten much better. Did well with the Spromic stick, did well with the Vision 110 and the Vision 110 Plus 1. Really got a couple of different areas that bait's working. Seems like on the ends of channel swings, where you've got either on the main lake, kind of like a bluff end, or back in some of the creeks, where you've got a channel swing that goes from the big rock down to the small rock that we talk a lot about with the crankbait and the jig, doing well with either the stick baits. Color-wise, we're doing well with Blue Bandit and Norman Flake in the mixed stick, doing well with the LG Bone and Tennessee Shad on the Mega Bass, both the 110 and the 110 Plus 1. Not getting a lot of bites, but we're getting some quality bites. Maybe go out and catch 8 or 10 fish in a day, but most of them are keepers and some better quality fish, some 4s and 5s. Talked to a couple of guys who went out and had a couple of 6s last week. They had 5 bites all day, but 2 of them were 6-pounders. So we are starting to catch some better fish on a stick bait as well. And the jig bite's been pretty strong, doing better with a jig, working it slow. Most of these fish have been back in the creeks a little bit, not necessarily all the way to the backs. More on secondary, rocky secondary points with the Jewel Pro Spider jig in either 5/16 or 7/16, and our typical colors, Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy. Those colors have been working best. You get a day without wind, throw it with a beaver on it. If you get a day with wind, throw it with a speed craw on it. But have been doing better with a jig down by the dam as well. Go to the Kimberling City area, and the deep bite is a little bit tougher there as well. I think once they shut this current off, our deep bite's going to come back. But right now, we've got a lot of fish scattered and a lot of shad scattered. If you can find the bigger schools of shad, you can usually catch a few fish around it on either a scuba spoon or a jigging wrap. But we're really not doing great on the deep bite like we were a couple of weeks ago. Doing much better again with a stick bait. A stick bait bite's been strong all over the lake. Again, channel swing banks, rocky points, steeper stuff has been good. But if you get wind, don't be afraid to move up shallow. Not necessarily on flat gravel, but on shallow rocky points. Kimberling City's got a lot of those. And throwing either the Megabass Vision 110, 110 Plus, or the Spro Mix Stick, same colors, LG Bone, Tennessee Shad, Norman Flake, Blue Bandit, all those colors are working. But these fish are going to be fairly shallow. Keep the boat 25 to 30, and I'm not really letting it sit very long. 5 seconds pretty much at most is all longer I'm letting it sit, because the water's still warm. Kimberling City, you're looking at 45 degrees just like you are down by the dam, so the water's been fairly warm. Jig bite's pretty strong in Kimberling City as well. Most of them on rocky points or rocky banks, a little bit deeper, 10 to 15 to 20, even 25 foot deep. A little bit shallower if you've got a little bit of wind or if you've got a little bit of cloud cover. But definitely the jig bite has been better on calm days than the stick bait bite. So 5/16, 7/16 Jewel Pro Spider jig. Same colors as always, Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, Peanut Butter and Jelly. Anything that's brown or green is probably going to catch you some fish, matched up with either a J-tail or a beaver or a speed crawl, just depending on whether you've got wind and what the weather conditions are. Go up into the James, and basically we've got 2 bites up the James. I personally haven't been up there, but I talked to a couple of buddies who were up there late last week, and they did very well on a stick bait. A little bit cooler water up the James, 42 to about 44. If you get far enough up, you'll see around 40. From about Cape Fear on up, you'll see about 40. Doing really well with a stick bait. Both Vision 110, 110 Plus, and the Spro Mix Stick. Same colors that are working everywhere else. A little bit brighter color is working up there, a little bit more solid color, because the water, it's not really dirty, it's just got a bit of a stain to it, so you know the translucent colors aren't working as well up there, but the same sort of locations. Channel swing, ends of channel swing banks where you get the bigger rock moving the smaller rock, and some rockier points that got a little bit of depth on them. The fish were a little bit shallower up there. He said most of them they caught were probably over 12 to about 18 foot of water, keeping the boat in about 20 to 25. And working it slow. He said you did have to let it pause for about 5 to 10 seconds to get bites. But again, they caught quality, not a lot of numbers, but they did catch some really good quality up there fishing a stick bait. Also catching them on a jig up there. Jewel Pro Spider jig in 5/16 or 7/16. Again, the fish were a little bit shallower up there than they are down lake. Most of them were in that 12 to about 18 foot range. Rocky points. Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, Missouri Craw, Black and Blue, whatever your favorite colors are, matched up with a J-tail, a speed craw, or a beaver, just depending on the weather conditions. But they, you know, the best 2 bites up there is stick bait if you got wind, jig if it's calm. Guys caught them up there pretty good this past week, so James has been strong. Go up into the White River, and I didn't fish up into the White much further than Baxter this past week. Do have a friend that lives up in the Shell Knob area, and he's been catching a few up there as well. But it's the same sort of deal. The deep bite is really not strong unless you can find the shad. If you can find schools, good schools of shad, not small little schools, but actual big schools of shad, you can catch a few on a Jewel Scuba Spoon and on the Rapala Jigging Wrap. He said the fish he's catching deep are fairly deep on the main lake. And when he says fairly deep, we mean 60 to 80 feet deep, out there on the ends of those long gravel points like we talked about last week, where you follow that point out until it drops off. That's where he's finding the shad. That's where he's finding the fish. Most of the better fish he's catching are up off of the bottom, not right on the bottom. So keep that in mind if you want to go fish deep up the White River. Stick bait bite's really strong up there as well. Same sort of deal, looking for those either channel swing banks, the ends of the channel swings, or looking for those rocky points. If you get wind, they're definitely going to be on those rocky points. You don't have to let it sit as long. Vision 110, Vision 110 Plus, Spromix stick, those are basically the stick baits I throw. That's what he's catching them on up there as well. Same colors, Norman Flake, Blue Bandit, LG Bone, Tennessee Shad. All of those colors are all working up there. Isolated timber will help, but you don't want a lot of trees, you know, just a handful of trees, one here, one there on those points. If you get wind, it'll definitely push the fish shallower. If you don't have a lot of wind, back off. Those fish are going to be in that over 15 to 20 foot, so keep your boat 25 to 30. Throw it up there, work it fairly slow, but you know, you don't have to let it sit 10, 15 seconds. Anywhere from about 5 to 10 seconds seem to be the deal up there. And then of course a jig bite. The jig bite's been strong up there as well. Jewel Pro Spider Jig, 5/16, 7/16, Okeechobee Blue, Green Pumpkin Candy, typical colors, same locations. We're looking for those fish to be either on main lake or secondary points. Rocky points are definitely better than gravel right now. And most of them are coming on ledges, working it down the ledge, working it slow, anywhere from about 15 to 20, even 25 foot deep is where we're catching them on a jig up there too. Guys, I'm really tired of winter. Tired of shooting these videos from inside my house or inside my shop like I am today. Hopefully this polar vortex is the last big hurrah for winter this year, and we'll be able to get out there and do more stuff on the water for you. Definitely going to do a lot of fishing here coming up. Got a few trips booked this week, so with it warming up the end of the week, we're going to be able to get out and do a little fishing this weekend, but catching some fish, having a good time. Guys, if you're thinking about coming down, you want to come down and fish a jig, want to come down and learn how to throw a stick bait, now is definitely the time to do that. So if you're thinking about coming down, you want to go fishing, even if you're coming later in the year, I'm already starting to fill up for March and April and even into June. So if you guys are thinking about coming later in the year, or maybe you got a derby or something coming up and you want to go out before then, get a hold of me as soon as you can. Let's get your dates locked in. But guys, if you're thinking about hiring a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743. Hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, we'll get you hooked up. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. Take a minute to subscribe if you haven't, but thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.